So I think we can officially get started, James. Thank you once again, everyone, for joining us. This is the Inventor 2026 What's New webinar. This is another fantastic release. We have a lot of enhancements to talk about today. You're going to learn about modernization to some of the tools that you're using on a regular basis. And there's also going to be some new workflows that you'll see in those tools. James is going to talk a lot about sheet metal enhancements. And for those of you that collaborate on building projects, we have amazing updates for Inventor to Revit workflows. And we'll also talk about informed design for Inventor. And so both James and I work on the marketing team for design and engineering. And we're going to be covering the slides for what's new today. But there's a lot of us on the call. We jump into the next slide so you can see them. Many of you know these folks on the Inventor team. We've got Dan Szymanski. He's the principal product manager for Inventor. And he's got a brief couple of slides to show a roadmap for Inventor. And then we also have Chris Mitchell and Johnson Shui. They've been doing this webinar for a number of years now. We've got two more additions, Andrew Fakes and Stephen Dennis. And there's one more that I didn't get added in here today. Some of you know Chris Benner. He's a community manager and a longtime Inventor user. And so they're going to be monitoring the Q&A, the panel throughout the presentation. And we're also going to voice some of those questions at the end. We had a lot of questions that came in yesterday. These six, answered 125 of them yesterday, which was amazing. And this team has a strong dedication to Inventor. They genuinely care about your feedback. I like the way that Dan Szymanski puts it. He always wants you to give it to him straight. He wants to know the good, the bad, and the ugly. So once again, use the Q&A panel. Talk to these guys. They want to hear from you. And if you have met any of them before, use the reaction button, give it a try, show them a heart, show them a thumbs up, throw some confetti. And especially if you've spoken with them before, use the Q&A panel, say hi to them. And that leads me to this slide. As I mentioned, the team does want to hear from you. These enhancements are driven by your feedback, and it happens in a number of ways. For starters, there is the Inventor feedback community. And this is where you can access early builds of Inventor, where you can test some of these new features early on. And then you can also provide your own feedback about what your needs are for future releases. Some of you know about Inventor Ideas. This is a great place to share your ideas and future enhancements. A lot of you use the forum. This is where you can share your own knowledge and ask your own questions. And then finally, there's Inside the Factory events. This is a place where you can join the Inventor development team. You can do this online. You can also do it in person. And these events are there to help you to learn what's new in future releases of the software. And when you provide your feedback, it's right there at the event. And I believe the next Inside the Factory event happens in about a month. May 20. Okay, thanks, Dan.
Yeah, May 20th and 21st in Atlanta. Yep.
Okay, great. Yep.
Atlanta, Georgia. And
And
we
actually,
really do. Oh, I'll just add, to that point, we really do try our best to be customer driven. We want to deliver capabilities, enhancements that are valuable and important to you. And these are the mechanisms we do it, including this webinar. Feedback that we received from these forums as well as this webinar are very valuable. The internal feedback community, that's where we announced the live event, the live and the virtual events. So if you don't know and you want to be a little tighter to the group and learn more about what we're developing and what we're, get a behind the scenes look at some of the capabilities that we're improving this year. There's, for lack of a better, it's our alpha beta program as well. You'll have access to the team there. It is signed, it's safe by a non-disclosure agreement where we can't disclose a lot of information like we can publicly here. But there in that place, we can be much more open and transparent with our plans and our capabilities. And that's where we kind of send those invites to say those opportunities to join those Inside the Factory sessions. So we greatly appreciate you all weighing in, as Jim's saying, shooting straight. Let us know what is painful and what we can fix, and let us know. Again, we try our best. I know we're not the fastest. I know that you want things yesterday, and that's always a difficult balance. But we're trying our best to deliver delight to the workflows that you rely on every day. And before I hand it over to Jim and James that are going to do the deep dive, I just wanted to give a preview of the themes that we're looking at for the future. So this is kind of a sneak preview of what we're going to be investing in Inventor in the future. So 3 primary pillars: perfecting the product, polishing workflows. This is really fed by a lot of our JDI initiatives, our Just Do It capabilities that are small and but yet make a big impact. In addition to some of the JDIs, we're also going after some bigger ticket items that have been a long-standing request for many moons. So we're excited to potentially deliver some high value capabilities that again have taken us a while to get around to. Additionally, we want to continue to connect for downstream workflows, connect Inventor processes, make better interoperability between the different systems that you might leverage. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next slide. And then lastly, automation continues to be critical and important. Everyone wants to be faster and more efficient and more performant. So we're going to be focusing some capabilities on enhancing and making automation capabilities more robust. Next slide. And this is kind of again purposely vague. our sneak preview into next year. The left, the 2 blue bubbles are kind of our perfect. Again, those marquee delighters, as well as our Just Do It's. The Just Do It's, the JDIs will kind of come through each year like we typically do with our dot releases. We typically have a summer and a fall update that includes not just new capabilities, but also robustness and performance updates to the release. And then you look over at the orange bubbles. That's kind of our connected workflows. We've heard a lot of feedback regarding the desired use of additional point cloud and having possibly better associativity and connectivity with 3D DWG files coming from AutoCAD. So we're excited to kind of venture into those spaces to support some better translations and interoperability within those spaces. And then lastly, we're still kind of also trying to lay some groundwork for cloud connected value. So you can you'll start to see some things that we're working on that will ultimately make you be able to connect to the cloud easier and share and collaborate. Lastly, the purple bubble is our 2 automation capability sets that we're going to be focusing on are going to be iLogic updates and obviously more APIs. So stay tuned. If you're interested in any of these little topics, kind of strike a little nerve or maybe strike some interest, love to get you to partner in our internal feedback community. We'll be talking much more about these in detail. We post video workflows as code is becoming available and as we start getting demonstrable progress. We'll showcase that inside of our internal feedback community to get you, and then that allows you to weigh in on the workflows as we're proposing them and allow us to course correct if you feel that we're going off to the wrong direction or there's a workflow that we're missing. We have many times pivoted because of feedback, and we just appreciate and highly value your participation and partnership in our software development. So thank you on behalf of our team. So I'm going to pass over to Jim and going to take you into the deeper details of the Inventor 2026 release.
Okay, thanks, Dan. And before James and I dive into those enhancements, these are the categories that you're going to see over the next 30 to 40 minutes. I've got some general enhancements to kick us off, followed by part modeling enhancements. James has, again, a lot to cover when it comes to sheet metal. There's some assembly modeling improvements as well as drawings. And I'm going to wrap it up with interoperability. Those are things like Inventor to Revit workflows. Now, before we talk about some of these things, we are curious about what you are most interested in seeing today too. Those were some of the general categories, and as I mentioned, there's over 100 enhancements to the release, and so these are some of the heavy hitters. Some of you might be interested in Inventor to Revit interoperability. I mentioned sheet metal. Associative mirror is coming up. And then modernization to feature patterning. We've got some great things to talk about there. Performance improvements, or perhaps you don't have any preference in mind. You're just looking to see what's new today.
Seems to be incredibly evenly split.
Yeah, and which is great. We're seeing a lot of everything right here. Fair amount for sheet metal, James, when you come up.
I'm excited about it. I'm not saying it's a competition, but
Yeah, this is very even, which is great. Okay, I think we can end this one. So, like I said, I'll start with general, some of the general enhancements. We're going to open it up with the open dialog. Now, when you open and save your documents in Inventor, you're going to see a familiar Windows experience, but you're still going to have access to the items that you need for your Inventor data. You'll see the workspace and library tree are still available over on the left. You'll see the active project that you're working on. And if you need to change any of the settings for your active project or other projects, you still have the option to do that. And as you'd expect, the file types that you're opening, those can still be filtered, and the file details and additional options for opening and saving your data will be there too. And since we're talking about opening and saving, it makes sense to talk about new documents as well. Now, this was something that was new in the previous release or 2025.2, but it is worth mentioning when you're accessing your templates is faster than ever because there's two new buttons. You could pick on a button to copy the file location. You can also pick on the other button to open that file location in your Windows Explorer. So we know a lot of you like to do this or need to do this. It's so much faster now to get to that file manager. And when you install Inventor 2026, we know a lot of you love the dark theme, which is great. So this is the default experience. And as usual, if you want to change the environment that you're working in, you can do that through other themes. They're available to modify. And the color schemes, if you need to change them, they're much more accessible now. You can go to the View ribbon. There's a pull down in the Appearances panel for that. And when you apply custom colors to the color scheme, the line thickness that you enter applies to both the 2D sketches and 3D sketches. And then one more thing in here, multi-monitor handling. If you're using an add-in in the past, if you're pulling up a dialog and it goes over on your second monitor, and then you unplug that monitor, there's a chance you might not be able to see that dialog. It's still there, you just can't pick it. That's something that's been addressed in this release. And we know that many of you use that ability to control the prompts for Inventor, those dialog boxes that pop up, where you can specify which notifications that you want to see or hide or how often you want them to show. And so those options have already been there for you to change. But if you need to edit your preferences, it can take some time to find the one that you want. It's a long list. So now you can type in a prompt and search the list, and you can find the item that you have in mind. So some part modeling enhancements. For those of you that use the shell command on a regular basis, this is something that's been modified and utilizes the property panel now, which is great because now we can remove some of those things like extra tabs. And there's also an updated workflow in here too, where there's a new button for a rounded offset on corners. And I also have great news about the patterning features. The rectangular, circular, and sketch-driven patterns have all been modernized. They've been redesigned in the property panel. And there's also new workflows for the rectangular and circular pattern. You're going to find a new option for irregular spacing and angle. We can have a look here. So once again, in here, you'll find the new modernized interface, which is awesome. The irregular pattern is very intuitive because you can simply select the instance that you're interested in and then give it the new spacing. And then once again, this works the same in the circular pattern command. Choose your instance, change the spacing. You can even drag and drop it using manipulators in the graphics view. So very intuitive, very clean interface. And then for those of you that enjoy using the simplify command in your assemblies, this is something that's now available in the part environment. This is a part that you're looking at here. It's a multi-body part. And so it works very similar to what you would expect, where you can very easily remove some of the smaller bodies that you have in your part. There you can see that you can use envelopes to replace the bodies, complex bodies that you have in that part. And then you can add it to a model state so that you can show which model state you want in that subassembly. And just to add to that, if you look here, this is still simplify for parts. You can recognize imported geometry as features and exclude those as well. This is a simple example that you're looking on the screen of a channel. It's got lots of holes and slots. There's a channel cut that's going down the middle. This takes a couple of seconds to simplify, which is huge for those of you that are looking to simplify imported supplier components. I think in this example, I literally clicked the simplify button and clicked OK. That was it. So 1 second later, it was done. So it really doesn't get much faster than that. And so now James is going to take us through some of the sheet metal enhancements.
All right, hey folks, I'm really excited to get to show off some more continuation of modernizing the interface improvements, all in the sheet metal commands. And these were all highly updated and driven by the insider community. So once again, thank you so much. So we're starting with a modern interface and overall streamlined workflow for contour flange. It has a new between option along with additional functionalities like create, edit in place, and save load and migrate. And it's incredible just to be able to see the direct manipulation and realistic feature previews in this feature now. We also did an update to corner round, which adds fillets to edges with the same length as the thickness. This allows for the quick addition of small radii to all of the sharp corners of the sheet metal design you're working on. And it's really helpful for anyone working on laser machines out there. So I know this was from the forums and it was specific for a customer working with large-scale laser machines. And then punch features. These got a serious upgrade with a cleaner UI, real-time, realistic previews. And now when you're editing, all of your input data shows up instantly. So there's no digging required. Pun intended, this excavator is an amazing data set. And then switching between IDE punch templates is really quick and intuitive now. It remembers the selections and it keeps those live updates and previews going. Alrighty, into the assembly environment here. So assembly mirroring leveled up big time this release. So with the newly knighted associative mirror, you can now mirror both the geometry and position of components and keep them fully synced. So any changes to the original parts automatically update the mirrored ones. This saves a ton of time and eliminates a ton of rework. And you just choose between two really powerful options, right? You have the flat structure, simple, non-associative mirror, or the mirror pattern for fully associative, automatically updated. It is complete with a new browser node to manage those mirrored relationships. It's fantastically powerful. So those mirrored components stay connected and responsive and ready to adapt to your changes, giving you a lot smarter control over your assemblies and just a cleaner structure for those increasingly complex assemblies we're seeing. And we also just wanted to take a note beyond the smart mirroring. It's just a powerful control and flexibility update. So you can now suppress mirrored components individually, really fine-tune your design views and positional representations, and manage how mirrored parts appear and behave all from the source. So this also works with eye properties and styles seamlessly. Those mirrored parts inherit everything that they need, including sheet metal styles, design intent, all while generating their own part numbers, which can be super important for these assemblies. And so the updated context menu that I mentioned is simplified for those mirror targets, and just reduces clutter and focuses on what matters. And one final thing I'm going to sneak in here is that it's multi-threaded performance. So even those large assemblies mirror really fast now and really efficiently. Inventor 2026 makes working with model states a whole lot easier and more intuitive with smarter creation and organization. So a redesigned browser structure now places model states inside of a new representations folder. So it's a quicker access, cleaner navigation experience. The new model state menu is fully consolidated, offering all those creation options you normally know in one place. And we've included some new commands such as new model state as a child, simplified parts, and derived assemblies. So we're just trying to add more clarity, speed, and flexibility to every aspect of your design and design variations. Model states this release also offer just better tracking, editing, and visibility. So now you can quickly spot changes and track model variations with the little blue dot indicators and just some improved browser icons. So model states are now editable through a built-in table editor as well. So no more Excel required. You can modify multiple states, share or break BOM links, and delegate control with relative ease. It's all about giving you that better control and better visual feedback right where you need it. And then we're just going to move into Content Center. So we have customization, control, and collaboration, and alliteration, apparently. So there are some really powerful upgrades to Content Center this release. You can now define both local and shared favorites for easier organization of parts for personal use or team-wide access. And some enhanced search settings let you customize the scope from default to all parameters. So it gives you control over your search precision. Plus, there's some all-new tools like mass override in the family table, thread properties dialog. It now gives you direct access to defining key physical and thread attributes, ensuring that any and all of your components meet your exact design specs. And finally, we have auto drop pattern support. So that placement follows assembly-like patterns like circular or sketch-driven layouts, speeding up any of those repetitive tasks you might have across assemblies. We also updated the icons in the browser and context menu, making it easier to distinguish between relationships and representations just at a quick glance. That's just a visual refresh that really streamlines your day-to-day navigation, and it'll help you focus on your design structure. And then we can finally take full control of your connections. So with the 2026 update, we've introduced a new option in the bolted connection generator that lets you select a specific thread designation when multiple options already exist. So there's no more workarounds. It's just precise hardware selection built right in where you would expect it. And then just a note on tube and pipe. I saw quite a few questions come in for tube and pipe. So a bit more control over isogen output with custom S-key support. The S-key field in the tube and pipe authoring dialog is now an editable combo box, allowing you to define and assign your own string values. So your custom S-keys are reflected directly in the isogen output, bringing flexibility to all of your documentation standards. And speaking of documentation, we have drawings. My weirdly favorite part of being a mechanical engineer was making drawings. So break views in drawings are now controlled by sketches. This allows precise placement using dimensions. Break view entries and sketches appear in the browser under the parent view. And you can create break views using the legacy method or by selecting a prepared sketch with the two parallel lines. Existing break views are migrated with editable sketches. The jagged line display for certain projected views has also been improved for cleaner visuals, and this applies to new drawings only unless you manually update them. And Inventor now supports two new dimension types, linear sum and angular sum. So these are really useful for any of your equally spaced features. You can now just place a base dimension, then right-click to create a sum dimension showing the total length or angle. A lot of applause for that one. The sum does update with changes to the base dimension. If the base dimension is removed, it's deleted. And finally, in drawings, I just wanted to sneak this one in there because it's one of my favorite little neat features that's been requested, and it's driven me mad not more than once. The Alt V is now a visibility shortcut and can now be used to control component visibility directly in drawings. So it's really great for fine-tuning your design, drawing, etc. Just on the fly as you need it, no more switching around. And then we're going to go back over to Jim for some interoperability.
Okay, thanks, James. My turn. Like I said, we're going to be talking a lot about Inventor to Revit workflows here, but before I jump into that, now in 2026, if you have annotations in your assembly documents, those are supported for exporting to JT or STEP 242. And there's also support for importing those too. If you get an assembly that has annotations from JT or STEP, those can come in as well. And just remember that when you are exporting those 3D annotations, that they come from the top level of the assembly. If you have any child components, those are going to be hidden by default. And so, like I said, we have a lot to cover when it comes to Revit interoperability. There's a lot of fantastic enhancements in this release, and we're starting out with property information. When you go to your iProperty dialog in the project tab, there's a new Revit category over at the bottom where you can change it in that pull down. And there's also a new Revit category column that you can place in your bill of material. Which is great because if you need to edit more than one Revit category, you can do them at the same time inside of the BOM. And when you go to the BIM interop ribbon, you'll find a new coordinate system panel. It has the existing UCS command and a new command for placement. And with the placement command, and you'll see some of this, by the way, in just a minute in a demonstration. With the new placement command, you can select the inventor model orientation and insertion point that will align with the Revit origin that you choose. And so it's important to note that you don't need to be on the latest version of Revit to use this either. The placement command supports versions 2023 and newer for Revit. And then also notice the include properties panel, the next one, where you can select checkboxes for the properties that you'd like to include in your Revit export. And you'll also see a simplify and export button where you can, it has similar features that you're used to in Simplify with a few additions. There's a new structure option for parts only when exporting RVT, which means when all the visible parts that are part of your simplified assembly get their own Revit element in the RVT file. And then you can also select your Revit template. You can use the installed templates from Revit, or you can use custom templates. And if you enjoy using the IFC files, you can export the IFC file along with the Revit file at the same time. And then speaking of IFC, there's a new option to export IFC4. And there's a lot of improvements for IFC4, like enhanced specification improvements or better integration with the latest technology or improved readability and ease of access to documentation. There's more to it than that. If you'd like to see a full list of the benefits of IFC4, then I'd encourage you to go online and research that. And we can see some of these things too up on the screen. Once again, there's a new pull down for Revit category in your iProperties dialog. I don't have the bill of material here, but you can add the Revit category column to your bill of material. And if we access the BIM environment, once again, there's a new button in the coordinate system panel for placement. You can choose your origin that you want to use, as well as the Revit origin that you want to align it to. And then there's an include properties panel that we can bring up where you can select, you get a list of all the properties that you can include, and then you can check the ones that you want to include in your Revit file. And then once again, there's a simplify and export button. And it'll look very similar to what you're used to for simplify, but we can select the Revit template that you'd like to use. This can be a custom template. You can select the version that aligns with that template that you want to export. And for structure, we can use parts only, which is new. And again, this will provide a Revit element for every part that you have in the assembly. And then we can add the IFC file, IFC4, if you'd like. Review the metadata when you're done before you accept it. And then when we bring that into Revit, you'll notice the option, you can see that as we hover over these or select them, those are the different Revit elements that we brought in. You can see the property information for each of those. We could use the edit type button if you want to see those properties as well. And then if you're looking to create a schedule, then once again, you'll see the property information that came in. And then because we used the placement button, when we link this into Revit, then it will be placed properly inside of the building. And so that also leads us into informed design for Inventor. For those of you that are new to informed design for Inventor, this is a free add-in for the software. The goal of the add-in is to connect your design and manufacturing with building design and construction. The goal, again, is to streamline the collaboration between mechanical and architectural teams. So as an Inventor user, you can upload your design to Autodesk Construction Cloud, which can contain things like logic for variations of your design. And then when the Revit user accesses that data, because you added logic to it for those variations, they can customize it and then place it into their building project. And so if this is not something that you've tried or you've done, if you haven't done it already, then there is a QR code on this slide. It's basically going to bring you to the Informed Design product page. And this is where you can download the add-in. It's something that you can do today. It's free. So now that everyone knows what it does, there have been some updates that have been made to the add-in. That includes the reuse of code blocks. If you use code blocks in one project, you can use them again in different product definitions. There's a new form layout for making it easier to manage more complex forms. And there's also a prerequisite check, which ensures that all your requirements are met before you publish. This, of course, will help with things like if you have any, reduce some of the errors and efficiency when publishing. And then Autodesk Construction Cloud Bridge integration. This allows you to publish products to your own project folders. And then when you share those folders with others, it helps the process because then if you make any changes to it, it's going to update automatically for them. And I believe I shared this with sound. I've got a short video that you can see on this as well.
Autodesk Autodesk Informed Design connects design and manufacturing workflows to streamline building design and construction. It lets designers work with customizable building products and enables manufacturers to share their products with design stakeholders. The workflow starts in Inventor, where a product engineer authors or imports a model and publishes a building product. Products can be modeled in Inventor, incorporating logic for allowable variations, materials, and drawings. After the model is ready, the product is published using the Informed Design add-in for Inventor, making it available to other collaborators in Autodesk Construction Cloud. Designers access and customize the product in Revit, placing it directly into building projects. A production engineer then generates the product documentation automatically, such as bills of materials and fabrication drawings, using the Informed Design web app. The files are uploaded to the cloud for easy access. Informed Design seamlessly bridges design and manufacture, aligning architectural vision with production realities to accelerate project delivery. Connect design and make with Autodesk Informed Design. Autodesk.
Okay. So we are getting closer to the end of the presentation where we're going to go into Q&A. I'd like to take just a minute here to highlight some of the resources that we have available. We talked about a lot of these earlier, the Inventor feedback community, forums, and blog. And I think that, so there is a QR code. This QR code, if you're interested in any of our resources or social media accounts, then follow this to a resources blog article. It gives you a list of everything in there. And I believe that Zlatka is going to add some links to some of these as well if you'd like to go directly to them on your computer. And Autodesk University is listed there as well. And just a heads up, Autodesk University is upon us. We already have a very long list of classes that have been submitted, and the team is currently in the process of reviewing those classes. Some of you might have submitted your own class, which is great. And remember that AU is scheduled about a month before earlier this year. So be sure to mark this on your calendar. It's now September 16 to 18, and it's in the great city of Nashville, Tennessee.
Cool. It looks like the questions have pretty much trickled down. I think we're good.
Yeah,
Jim, what do
okay.
you think?
Yeah, and like like you, Dan, the engagement today has been really good. Love to see all the emojis, the questions that have come in. We had a lot of questions yesterday, and today we did too. I think almost the same, around 120 some questions, which is amazing. So really appreciate the engagement today and for everyone joining us for this webinar. And if you still need answers to any questions that you have, or Johnson is going to be taking a look at some of these too. He did last year as well, and we really appreciate his work by going over these. And so we had a lot of enhancements today for 2026, but Dan actually mentioned this back in his slide that there is more to come for 2026. There's .1 and .2, and there's several enhancements and updates that we're going to see for those point releases as well. And so keep those in mind. We're going to be posting some information about those in the blog and creating some more content for YouTube. And so I think that wraps it up for us. Once again, thank you again for attending. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you for your partnership. Greatly appreciated. Take care,
Thanks,
everyone.
John.
Thanks, everyone.